This one's for y'all. Hi there, I'm Hana Q, your local digital artist. And it has been over a year since my last Drawing Your OC video. Mostly, I've been busy making VTubers and fighting off random things. But I gotta tell ya, there's one thing I have terribly missed drawing. And that is my big, luscious, wild Hana Q hair from the old OC videos. But then I had a glorious idea. Let's bring back the OC videos with spice by turning your OCs into VTubers. That way, I can draw your lovely OCs and get some practice in making VTubers. Today, I'm gonna show you exactly how I do it all. Reinterpret a lovely fan's OC into my style, draw and cut a unique VTuber model, and rig and animate it. Let's get straight into it. Earlier this month, I asked my fans to send me their OCs via a new hashtag on Instagram. If you don't want to miss the next one, make sure to subscribe to get notified when I do another. And holy moly, your OCs are so freaking cute! This character has such outfit goals. Like, I am loving those jeans so much with the graphics and all. And she just looks so cool and vibrant. Ooh, a fellow Zori, let's go. And I might be biased for braids, but she is such a pretty night elf. Haha. Get it? Cause it's nighttime and she's an elf wearing a night outfit. Okay, well, anyways. You know, I love a good suit uniform and the back design on that jacket is so freaking gorgeous. I really like the eyes too. They've got this nice holographic coloring to them. You guys are so creative and talented. I didn't know which to pick. But then, one character caught my attention. It was an adorable fox girl with gigantic wings. Something about the youthful and joyous charm drew me in, and because I too had my own fox girl OC with wings. It must be an artist's rite of passage to have a Kemono Mimi character with wings. I knew this was the one when I saw that she was named Kewpie, while her little dragon friend is Mayo. Scrolling through Kewpie Foxy's page, I knew this character meant a lot to them, and I wanted to surprise them with my very own fan art of their character. It's time to sketch the character. I actually had a bit of trouble in the beginning and had to redraw the pose a couple of times. And yeah, it is not always pretty. But that's totally normal, especially because I'm trying to figure out everything like the pose, expression, hair, all at once, so I'm bound to run into problems. Eventually, I figure it out and like where it's going, so I do a cleaner sketch on top after. But yep, I get frustrated drawing too, and that's normal and part of the fun. So Kewpie is a fox girl with a white to pink ombre hair. She wears a pink kimono with a giant pink tail and large white and gold wings. I also noticed that she has fox legs and sharp fox nails, which is a really cool detail. She has a little dragon friend named Mayo, who definitely looks just like a Kewpie Mayo bottle. So you may have noticed that this drawing is not a traditional front-facing VTuber. That is because I wanted to challenge myself to make a posed VTuber model. There have been a few posed VTuber models that others have made that I absolutely adore. I love the originality of it, and there's something a bit more intimate about the posing. It's definitely going to be a challenge in the rigging since it's my first time doing this, but yeah, I'm excited. On to line art now, and I like to use a dense watercolor brush here. For the face, I like to lower the opacity to give the eyes and facial features a softer look. I did my own spin on a few of the accessories here. I thought her earrings were gorgeous, so I added even more gems to have them sparkle in the rig. In this reference, she wears a gold collar, and I thought it matched well with the earring. I felt this character was very Sakura themed, so I drew Sakura flowers for her outfit and hair. And And of course, my bread and butter would be my wild Hanekyu hair. Kewpie has a combination of smooth and curled hair, so I gave her straight bangs with curled side bangs. My drawing style is mostly intuition and, well, it's wild. But I share my process to hopefully help y'all in achieving this look if that's what you want. It is honestly my favorite part of drawing. Since this will be a VTuber model, I'm separating the base colors into parts like front hair, back hair, and this is with the intention of moving them individually later. And I can't forget to add the red eyeshadow. I thought it might be fun to add some glitter to it later in the rig. I did a mock-up of the lighting by using multiply and overlay layers. This is very easy to do. I simply create a new layer and clip it to the folder containing my base colors. Then I set the layer mode to multiply and use a bluish gray color to brush in the shadow. Afterwards, create a new layer on overlay mode, and with a pale yellow-orange color, I'll carve out the lighting. This will give me an early idea of how I want to color in accordance to the lighting. Whenever I start a new drawing project, there's always so much to keep track of. Character sheets, references, coloring, and animating guides, the list goes on. And with me barely being able to remember the most basic of instructions, there's one tool I can't live without, Milanote, the sponsor of today's video. So, Milanote is a tool you use to organize your creative projects. It's sort of like a pinboard where you can save your ideas, notes, and references in one place that you also get to organize to your exact liking. I use it for all my drawing projects that have more than a few steps. When it comes to VTuber models, I do a ton of brainstorming beforehand. Milanote is perfect for saving all those visual ideas and creating space for me to just focus on making the art, referring back to the board when needed. This is my main board for the Kewpie VTuber model. I have her references and general goals here to keep me focused. And I put cute graphics to keep it light and fun. The to-do list tool is perfect for keeping track of tasks and checking them off as you finish them. In our first subboard, I have all the references I'll need for drawing Kewpie. I have a few of my own past drawings to get a reminder for style, and real references of the kimono, flowers, and wings. You can use the draw tool to write notes and outline important details to make note of. When you're ready to create your board, the template picker tool is the perfect go-to. I used the brainstorming template here for my second subboard where I will include all my guides and references for the rigging. For this model, we are trying new things like a posed model, reactive ears, and wings. Milanote is also great for collaborating. You can invite your team to give you feedback in real time. My partner is showing me more places I can find references here. Having all this planned out beforehand saved me tons of headaches. And that is how I use Milanote, a powerhouse of an organizational tool to take my creative projects to the next level. And the best part of all, Milanote is available for free with no time limit, so you can sign up using my link in the description. Now, back to the video. If there's one thing we as artists take the most liberty in coloring, it's the hair. There are so many amazing and creative ways people color anime and semi-realistic hair. I am still learning, but here's how I like to approach it. The hair rests on top of the head, which is a round object, so I like to color while envisioning a circle. The top will be light while the rest will be dark. Here's where we can have fun. Let's emphasize the strands using the light and dark colors. We can add weight to the strands by varying shades of darkness throughout. I like to keep the hair near the face semi-transparent, so I swipe the skin color across it. Apply your highlights along that round highlight area. From here on, add your own individual style and you'll have gorgeous, colorful hair. It's time for me to finish cutting up the model. Sometimes called separating, we need parts to be in their own layers in order to animate the art smoothly. This is why the mouth has its own mouth lines and inner mouth, which is hidden by skin flaps. Together, it can create the illusion of opening and closing. The eyes need to be separated into eyeball and eyelashes to make a convincing blink. And our face is separate from the hair so that we can shake the hair and give it physics. Alright, I've loaded our fully cut model into Live 2D Cubism. To put it simply, this is the go-to animating program for VTuber models. It uses parameters and morphing to move an image part from one frame to another while animating everything in between. But before we do anything, we have to do a little bit of setup work because, well, your models load up like this. First, we have to set up the meshes, which are these outlines full of little dots. We create our animation by assembling these dots in different positions, and you do this for all your layer parts. We then set up the texture atlas by selecting the texture button, and for this model, I'll have it set up automatically. The last thing to do is to create deformers for group layer parts. We'll want to group certain things together so we can move it all easily with one deformer. In Live 2D Cubism, most of the parameters you need are already created. Parameters save your movement for individual body parts like the eyes, mouth, or angles. And my mini goal this time around was to learn to use glue. Glue is a tool where you can connect two layer parts by overlapping meshes. I decided to try this for the ribbon because half of the ribbon is in the background while the other half is in the foreground. In the cutting, I had to separate this into two parts. But for the animating, this should move as one piece, so I used the glue tool to connect them. Now, when I move the one piece, the other follows as if it's one. So I won't be doing detailed tutorials on how to rig everything, but I will throw in a few tips and tricks here and there. I normally start with the eyes, but with this pose model, let's start with the face. The only difference from a regular model is that I can't repeat my morphing symmetrically, so I will create unique angles for the left and right movements. I will also pay attention to the eyes and make sure they have the depth as I move the head. One way to do this is to have the pupils sink further back as the face turns. For the blinking motion, I like to shrink the eyeballs a little bit as it closes to create a more natural closing motion. I like to have a few keyed points as opposed to just 0 and 1 because it creates more subtle transitions as opposed to a straight motion. For pretty lash physics, you can twist the ends of the eyelashes to flow left and right or up and down. You can create flowy eyeball physics by animating swirling and squishing motions for the eyeballs. I like to imagine them like orbs of water. So, we have a fox girl here, which means we can do the cutest thing possible with the ears. And that is linking the ear movement with the eyebrow expression. When she's angry, we can have ears downturned, and when she's happy, we can have them perk up. I have another series on my channel where I draw VTubers completely from scratch, and the current series features a character with a wings-like cape. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to get some practice in rigging wings. First, I'll set up my parameters for the wing motions. Then I'll create the motions I want for each area of the wing. We're going for a soft, flapping motion. For the physics, I'll create some subtle ruffling through the feathers. After a bit of messing around, I have a start for the wings. I'm just gonna fix it up until I'm happy with it. Back when I was definitely way too young to be on the internet, I was making friends with other artists who, like me, had OCs. I didn't realize this then, but my love language was no doubt drawing for my friends. One time, a friend was feeling down, so I went straight to my pen to draw their favorite OC giving them a hug. It was my way of turning these fictional characters into tangible feelings of love and joy for people. If I go back and count, I've probably drawn hundreds of other people's OCs, and I don't think I've even drawn my own characters that much. Something about drawing other people's characters gives me this extra energy to make it really good. It's why I'm upping the ante with QP here by making her a VTuber. Your characters inspire me and have helped me improve my art and horizons. And hopefully I do the same for y'all. Okie dokie, I am now putting all the finishing touches on the VTuber model before I share with you guys the final reveal. Oh, and if you enjoy this series, you might enjoy my other videos where I make VTubers from scratch. I go into a lot more detail on how to make VTubers and tips and tricks for that, so feel free to check it out on the top right. Alright, buckle up because the final reveal is coming right up. Ahoy! Did you guys like the final reveal? I think this is one of my favorites to date. I always like to use these videos as a reimagining experiment. I think if I were a young budding artist, I would love to see how another artist would keep the elements of my design, but elevate it with their skills and style. Anyhow, thank you lovely goobers for your beautiful fan art as always. I adore each and every one of them very much. Well, until next time, I'm wishing you all the best on your journeys of achieving your goals and dreams. Bye!